Jessie's eyes open wide. Surrounding her, a futuristic neon utopia. Planet Earth. The year is 3, 4, maybe 5,000. Tall buildings and towers stretch as far as the eye can see. Some made of glass, and others of pure light. Most of them shine their advertisements or holographic billboards of all different cultures and variations of flashy colors brightly onto the busy streets below, packed with flying cars that speed past one another. Beneath them are the bustling people, some more mechanical than others. Perhaps she's in America, Britain or France. Honestly, it's hard for her to even tell. But one thing she does know. Whatever this place used to be, it is most definitely still the Earth she knew. But more importantly, she's flying. Soaring through the skies of this city of imagination. Overcome with wave after wave of wonder. But where to begin? With so many places to explore, the exotic foods to taste, or numerous people to meet and speak with. Does this place have a Chinatown? A Little Italy? Are China and Italy still around anymore? All of it lies waiting below her. Jessie's eyes open again, slower and heavier now. Forcefully pulled from her dream, she lifts her head abruptly from a pillow with growing annoyance and messy head of hair. Looking out into the hallway, she hears the echoes of a loud siren bouncing off of the hexagonal walls. Jessie rolls her eyes, throwing her covers to the side. She stumbles into the TARDIS control room, looking down from the balcony as her eyes adjust to the brightness of the lights. At the console, the Doctor hurries around the controls, pulling down levers and cranks too excitedly to even notice her presence.
Please don't tell me it's time for school.
Ah, good evening, sleeping beauty. Sorry for the alarm. It's just this one misbehaving again.
Evening?
Well, early evening, around 3 minutes past 6 in the afternoon.
Wait, how long have I been asleep for?
About 94 years, 83 days, 3 hours and 12 milliseconds. Give or take a millennia.
Right, time machine. Sounds like I missed the Saturday morning cartoons.
To be fair, we were parked in a slower time quadrant. I planted a few fresh herbs in the greenhouse, explored the flowing rivers in the ruins of Visery, got proposed to be its queen. Again.
So, do you ever actually sleep?
When the time arises. So, never, mostly. Shall I pop the kettle on?
Maybe later. I actually have a different request.
Go on, I'm all ears. Well, not all ears. Have I ever told you about the 7th Great Kenora? Lovely chap. Literally composed entirely of ears. But I digress, you were saying?
Have you ever had a dream that was so amazing that you were sad to ever wake up? Because you knew you'd never be able to actually see that thing in real life? Okay, granted, maybe you aren't the best person to ask, but that's my point. We can go anywhere in the universe, and that includes the places I could only ever dream of. Within reason, of course.
Jessie Lee Tran, I'm loving where your head is at. These dreams, tell me about them.
Well, it's not exactly any far-off constellation or impossible galaxy. It's Earth, I think. I really want to see what Earth is like in the future.
But you've seen New Earth.
Yeah, but that wasn't Earth. My Earth, at least. I don't want to go millions of years in the future, just maybe a few thousand, to have something to look forward to. I'm not going to steal an almanac or anything. I'm just morbidly curious.
Right, and you're sure?
Yes! Why wouldn't I be?
I don't know. It might not be exactly what you're expecting.
Of course it won't be. That's why I want to go.
Alright. Any preference in location? There'll be some tectonic shifting, I'm sure you understand.
Home, sweet home. Show me the future of sunny California.
Jessie, once I show you this, I can't ever unshow you. You understand? You won't ever be able to unsee it. But it's your choice.
I'm not gonna miss the 80s any less. Don't worry. I want to see the future.
In your pajamas.
Good point. Go do your magic and I'll be right back.
Jessie leaps out from the TARDIS doors, a burning excitement behind her eyes. Unfortunately, she's met with a very different type of burning. She looks upon what is meant to be her home, planet Earth, to see in its place a barren, lifeless wasteland, filtered through a muddy grey mist. Gone are any plants or vegetation, replaced with ashen craters dug into the rocky ground. No animals. No bugs. Certainly not any humans. Just the cold, empty atmosphere, with a sky that bleeds slow, swirling and dancing flames, like an enraged aurora borealis.
This isn't Earth. It can't be. This is some other planet. We must have made a wrong turn.
I'm afraid not. I'm sorry. This is it. Planet Earth. Your home. The year 3100.
What in the hell happened? This only took, 1,000 years from when I'm from?
Solar flares. Eventually, this planet's greatest asset became its greatest problem. It roasted the atmosphere, made most of the planet uninhabitable. That's what those are, up in the sky. Solar flares. It wasn't anyone's fault, just so you know. Well, mostly. Unfortunately, it's quite a natural occurrence.
You could try not smiling while explaining how my planet burned to the ground. Just a suggestion.
It was a partial smile.
Oh, right. Of course. My species just became extinct, but this is more like a little science experiment to you, isn't it?
Oh, cheer up. They're not extinct. You think the great human race would be wiped out because the sun sneezed? Of all things. You've seen what the human race are up to in a few million years in the future, remember? You lot are many things, but you're especially persistent. Probably a bit more than you should be, but still. Do you know what I really see here?
Probably not, but I can't really ask one of the skeletons for their take, so go on.
You're too doom and gloom. When you look out there, you may see all those radiation fields and fiery skies, not to mention the aesthetics of it all, but you're missing the point. The Earth may be on its last legs, but the human race? This is only a jumping-off point for them. You see up there, all those stars? Back home, your home. I bet you used to look up there and only ever dream of what it was like up there. All those other planets and civilizations just waiting to be explored. A beautiful veil patiently waiting to be pierced by humanity. And in the 31st century, do you think they moped and complained at their loss? Of course they didn't. They finally said yes! New home needed, destination everywhere. Whatever this place became, whatever it is now, it never stopped you from flying.
Uh-huh. You totally had that saved in your head for the next time you were here, didn't you?
Just a bit of it, yes.
So, we're all just huddled together in one planet-sized ship somewhere out there?
Well, not quite. Every country has their own unique situation. Some have found new worlds to take refuge on. Others have taken the more ambitious route and decided to kind of stick together in enormous colony stations. The UK currently lives on the back of a star whale. Imagine that!
And what about the US?
Well, America's America. Most states are divided into their own ships and little groups. Makes for some very awkward Thanksgivings. The current president of Texas is one interesting character, I'll tell you that much.
Good to know. So we just live out amongst the stars forever until we eventually partner up with cat people?
There are some bumps in the road, but you get there in the end. But don't assume planet Earth is abandoned until the end of time. It'll be rebuilt someday. And maybe that day is sooner than you think.
Jessie looks to the doctor as he gestures into the distance. Amidst all of the dark mist and fog, A noticeable light glimmers through against a peculiar shape. A pyramid, constructed of thick layers of green glass. Enormous, it stands in contrast against the blood-colored sky. The two set out toward the structure, carefully traversing the black rocky terrain. Off in the distance, unbeknownst to either of them, a hooded figure follows their movements with two glossy black eyes.
Hello there. Yes, that's right. Come closer. All are welcome to witness the revolution.
Continuing toward the pyramid, the Doctor and Jessie make their way through a wide, damp tunnel, small stalactites dripping above them. Scattered everywhere, amongst the rough walls and jagged ceiling, are crystals, clumped together individually, sprouting out in varying degrees of sizes that sparkle bright green and purples in their smooth reflection.
Remind me again why we took the cave detour?
This pyramid, or whatever it is, may just be the last bastion of life on this planet, and you think that they'd have a lovely little front door that we can just politely knock on?
I don't know. Did common etiquette also get fried by the sun? It's just weird, is all. I expected everything to be less damp and confined and a bit more Blade Runner. God, I hope they still have Harrison Ford.
You know, having that mindset can be very unhealthy. The future isn't all flying cars and robot people.
Oh, look, my phone's ringing. Hello, New Earth? You're calling to tell him that that's exactly what your planet is? I'll let him know.
Fair point. I just don't want you to have unreasonable expectations. That includes Harrison Ford, despite the fact that he'll probably outlive us all. Just never underestimate a cave. Oh, I love a good cave. And tunnels and passageways, secret entrances. Take a look around us.
He spreads his arms out enthusiastically, beaming at the surrounding array of colorful crystals. Jessie can't help but also be taken aback, as she properly inspects the cave for the first time.
Planet Earth. She may have seen better days, but she still shows us this beauty so effortlessly.
You're not wrong. I've never seen anything like this back home. This is gonna come off as incredibly cheesy, but thanks for this.
For what exactly?
For showing me it isn't all, well, doom and gloom. We're standing in the literal apocalypse, the worst case scenario for the planet, and yet there's still all of this. These crystals are gorgeous. Do you think anyone would notice if I took a small one?
I'd say just a little bit, yes?
Startled, Jessie reactively puts her hands in the air. In front of them stands the figure of a man, yet he isn't human. His deep green skin is scaly and uneven, amongst the small fins that protrude from its head. He wears a red waistcoat over his netted woven shirt lightly padded with thin metal plates. The Doctor smiles, sliding his hands into his pockets.
Hello! Sorry, didn't see you there. We were a bit distracted. Love what you've done with this place. I had a hunch this wasn't strictly human work.
Doctor, he's a lizard man. That's a new one.
He seems like a perfectly nice lizard man.
But he's a man and a lizard.
Jessie Lee Tran, meet Homo Reptilia. Or do you still go by Silurians?
Either is acceptable. Lovely to make both of your acquaintances.
Sorry, one moment. Okay, first it's cat people. Fine, whatever. I learned to emotionally deal with that. But now a lizard guy? How many Spider-Man villains are real?
Well...
What's next? Rhino men?
Well...
Sorry to impose, but why do you have your hands up?
Yes, why do you have your hands up?
Because this is how things always go. You stumble your way into somewhere you aren't supposed to be until we're caught by the locals and held at gunpoint.
Miss Tran, as you can see, no weapons.
Oh, well, that's refreshing.
If you'll let me inquire, what exactly is your business here? Are you a part of a larger colony? Should we be expecting more visitors?
Just us, I'm afraid. Although I have here my very important credentials confined into one small piece of paper that will undoubtedly tell you everything that you could possibly need to know.
This says you finish 8 crossword puzzles a day and grow your own oregano?
Does it? Well, at least it's accurate. Probably need to recalibrate. The truth is, we're just visitors. I noticed we were out of milk and the corner shop was shut, so here we are.
Right. And your name, sir?
The Doctor.
A doctor? Are you qualified?
More than most.
South Guard to Sanctuary 1, we've got 2 humans at the south tunnel of the dome, both unarmed, and friendly enough. Believe it or not, one tells me he is in fact a doctor.
A doctor? Did he give you a name?
No, just the doctor.
No, it can't be. Let them send them in! Send them in!
Copy that. Damn this thing.
Think that's a friend of yours?
Could be. Meeting in the wrong order happens more than I'd care to admit. Is there a problem?
Oh, no. Apologies. Our equipment has just been going haywire recently. Must be some sort of electrical interference from the flares.
You know, I'm also a doctor of equipment, too. Mostly technology, gadgets, etc.
If that's the case, you might be just what we need. This way, please.
Right, so... lizard people?
Silurian.
Cerulean. Got it. You're an alien? Aliens are the next residents to move in when humans move out?
Miss Tran, I must say that you're quite lucky I'm not easily offended.
My bad. So, you used to be human then? Is that it? Are you what we eventually evolve into when the sun goes kaput?
You've got it a bit backwards.
Alright, I'm stumped. Hit me with it.
Oh, you're going to love this. Silurians actually predate humans. They lived on Earth well before you lot did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, indeed we did.
But that would go against everything we know about the history of the planet. There's no proof of that.
That's because the only living proof hid away. Decided to tuck in for a nap, just for a few million years. It was because of some confusion with the moon. It's a long story. Small groups kept popping up every now and then during human history, but it never really led to anything, other than a bit of fuss over their new neighbors. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I can't imagine humans handling that too well.
Apologies, but where did you say you were from again, Miss Tran?
Barcelona. Lovely little place.
Fascinating.
As the 3 trek through the tunnels, they pass by a man and a woman. Notably, both human. They sit atop loose wooden crates, calmly sipping caffeine from their flasks as they take a break from their work inside this cave. As the visitors and their guide pass by, they raise their plastic cups with a glint of a friendly smile in their direction.
Afternoon.
Were those humans? Did we just pass humans?
This isn't strictly a Silurian base. You're working with the humans too.
Welcome to Eco Pyramid Facility 643, or as some of us like to call it, Sanctuary. Dedicated to restoring any and all life on planet Earth by any means necessary. And to do that, this must not be a time for war or silly conflict over land or whatever ridiculous reason our ancestors chose to fight.
And that's why you're working together, living together, to restore what was lost.
In times of great hardship and crisis, partnerships were formed. More importantly, unity. When we began to emerge 1,000 or so years ago, the humans, please don't take any offense, but they simply weren't prepared. Well, maybe some of us weren't either. There wasn't any path to peace with too many variables at play. None that didn't lead to death. But when we awoke again, to see what had happened to the Earth, we were welcomed. Perhaps it was because 95% of the population left the planet, but Homo reptilia were finally offered a place on the surface again. We were expected and welcomed.
Oh, I knew they'd figure it out! Good on you, whales!
Those sound like the words of a man who was involved.
Maybe just a smidge. But it was all down to you. I simply moderated.
Who knows what tomorrow might bring? Maybe in time we'll end up falling out again, God forbid. But today we work to heal the scars formed from catastrophe by any means we can.
Humans and Silurians joined hand in hand to rebuild home. Stellar. Just absolutely phenomenal.
In front of them runs another human male, exhausted and clearly out of breath. He looks to be in his mid-20s, dressed in a thick brown leather jacket over a neat green shirt and darker trousers, along with a shortly trimmed haircut.
Sorry, I had to do a bit of a jog to get here.
Ah, here he is, if not earlier than usual. I'd like you to meet our second in command of the Sanctuary Project, Nicholas.
Ah, lovely to meet you.
You're the doctor.
The doctor grabs the young man's hand, shaking it with both of his own. Nicholas doesn't react, only glaring at him in bewilderment.
Is this one broken?
That's arguable.
No, sorry. It's just I mean, I know who you are.
Do you? Have we met? Because it looks like I still haven't gotten to that particular point yet. Sorry.
Well, you and I haven't met specifically, but I've been told stories of the Doctor and his magic blue box all my life. From my grandparents and their great-grandparents before them. About the mythical man who changes his face and vanishes into the night, like he was never even there.
Quite the reputation you've gained, Mr. Mythical.
They didn't include the part about the stick of celery, did they? I'm sorry to say, I'm not the best at dealing with fans, so if you are a fan, I ask that you temper your expectations.
A fan? No. Well, maybe a little. Oh God. I really have no idea how to say this. I've gone over this moment too many times in my head, and it's just...
I believe what Mr. Lethbridge Stewart is trying to say...
Hold on. Lethbridge Stewart? You're not?
Yes. My full name is Nicholas Lethbridge Stewart. I'm a descendant of a few people you may be more familiar with. Kate Stewart and her father, Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart.
Nicholas, this is a warning, because you're about to receive the biggest hug in the history of mankind.
The doctor embraces Nicholas warmly, and Nicholas slowly offers an awestruck hug in return, with the satisfaction of acceptance from the living legend himself.
You're a lot kinder than I expected. I thought you'd be a bit more cold and maybe Scottish?
Yes, I get that more than you'd expect.
Hi, sorry to interrupt, but did you want to maybe offer some context?
The Stewarts are very old friends of mine. Oh, from so long ago now. You know me, I'm not a fan of soldiers, not my style. But the Brigadier, he was so much more than just that. The absolute best of what humanity had to offer. He dedicated his life to protecting the planet. And Kate followed right along in his footsteps. Your family wouldn't even let a group of Daleks glare them down. And you're still protecting the Earth after all this time. Isn't that poetic? Oh, how amazing is that?
That's right. And I'm actually in charge of dealing with any and all alien threats myself, even if Unit isn't around anymore. So technically, you're kind of my prisoner?
Ha! You wish!
Any chance prisoners are offered walking tours? I'm Jessie, by the way.
Any friend of the Doctor is a friend of ours, Jessie. It's a pleasure. I'd be more than happy to show you around the place. Maybe you can even use some of that Time Lord magic and spruce things up, Doctor.
Oh, just try and stop me.
I see you all have your hands full, so I'll be off back to my post. I wish you both a pleasant visit.
And what did you say your name was again? I'm sorry, I was too focused on comprehending your existence to even ask.
It's Hectir, thank you. Now I shall bid you both adieu.
Don't be a stranger.
Please, this way.
Oh, what a day this has turned out to be! We met a new friend descended from a few old ones, discovered this amazing cave, and everyone here is just so nice. How about that?
Knock on wood.
Hector, The pleasant and polite tunnel guard strolls back to his position towards the other side of the crystallized tunnel.
Not this damn thing again. I might as well just put you in the bin and get a new one.
It's someone out there.
Hector's head jolts up toward the direction of this voice, down a more narrow path on the right side of the cave. The figure, shrouded in shadow, stands just too far out of Hector's field of view. He can only make out the figure's weak and hunched posture as it grips onto the rocky surface for balance.
Yes, hello? Is everything all right?
Brother, no. No, I beg of you, don't reach for your torch, there's no time. My friend and I got lost down one of these paths, and I've only just been able to find my way back. Please, we are in need of some assistance. He isn't breathing.
Is anybody able to read me? I've got a code yellow emergency down the south tunnel. I repeat, a code yellow Oh, for crying out! And, of course, my light isn't even working anyway. All right, do you still remember where they are?
Oh, yes. Just this way. This is going to be of so much help, brother. So much help indeed.
So, Nicholas, just how different is the Doctor from stories you've heard?
Well, he hasn't had any chance to topple any evil regimes or perform any scientific miracles since you two touched down. But other than that, he's basically spot on.
Oh yeah?
The eccentric clothing, always travels with a pretty girl, limitless knowledge of most worlds and cultures.
Whoa, what was the second one?
Always travels with... Oh, sorry, I wasn't...
No! Please go on. Tell me, where do I rank amongst the numerous beautiful women this one likes to travel with?
Actually, that's a good question. I've catalogued so many of the Doctor's travels, and obviously as many of his companions as I can learn about, but I never tried ranking them by attractiveness. It was more of a pattern I noticed than anything.
Well, I'd love to sit down with you and find an answer to this incredibly important question.
Really? Well, I...
Jesse, please stop flirting with the fanboy. He's clearly oblivious.
Wait, flirting?
Nicholas, do you really keep track of everything I do?
Sort of. I've been told all the stories, read all the files.
Oh, I dread to think.
I get the part about him being a fairy tale or a stranger who vanished into the night, but what was he actually like? This one never tells me anything. Not entirely his fault, though.
I know of his different incarnations, if that's what you mean. Even if they're kinda hard to keep track of.
But what does that actually mean? Incarnations and regenerations, he's never really told me.
It's just sort of a phase you go through, like humans. Grumpy, then too clever for your own good. Celery.
Did he ever tell you about the time he carried around an umbrella and a top hat?
He has not.
I'm glad my fashion sense is so well documented in the future.
That's not even the best of it. 2 words, Dr. Mobile.
What? Like Batman? Wait, don't tell me. I bet you had your own Robin and everything with... Oh my god. I'm Robin.
The three finally enter the main pyramid hall. The mirage of bright green is almost blinding in comparison to the dimly lit rocky tunnels, as the sanctuary is filled with various foliage stretching out to the very edge of its glass barrier. This single selected piece of luscious green earth remains protected from the stark contrast of radiation and mist outside. Another Silurian stands amidst the paved pathway to greet them. An older-looking, more formally dressed resident of the base. Around him sit a multitude of folded-out tables, scattered with loose metal junk and contraptions of all sizes. There are a few workers tinkering away at them, both Silurian and human, dressed in long white coats.
Ah, glad you finally decided to join us again, back in the land of the living, Nick. I see you've made a few new acquaintances.
General, this is him. the legend himself.
The illustrious doctor, is it? This secret admirer has been singing your praises for so long I began to even question if you were real.
Charmed. It's a pleasure. General...
Olnor. General Olnor. And I don't believe Nick ever mentioned you, Miss...
Oh, don't mind Girl Wonder over here. Just my partner in crime.
Begrudgingly, but my friends call me Jessie.
I see. So, Doctor, has our second-in-command given you a satisfactory explanation for our settlement here?
I suppose, but I think this place speaks for itself. It's absolutely marvellous. You've definitely been busy. Gives cabin fever a whole new meaning. What with the state of the world outside. Humans and Silurians. Well, Silurians and humans if you're picky. You really built this all by yourself?
For the most part. Feel free to take a look for yourself. The place is a bit of a mess, but we feel it's efficient nonetheless.
Attached to the bottom layer of the pyramid are enormous glass pipes, held together by a mesh of different metals. Flowing through them is simple water. The doctor can't resist his intrigue, waltzing over and peeking inside.
Blimey, if I had my brainy specs on me, I'd have a field day.
Was that another one of his phases?
Oh, that's right! I've been waiting for a moment like this. It's in my pocket somewhere. Aha! What do you think?
Is that a monocle? Like Mr. Peanut?
Mr. Peanut wishes. This is an incredibly fashionable, very smart-looking monocle. It denotes sophistication, intelligence. It's dapper. Mark my words, I'm bringing it back.
Okay, less Mr. Peanut, more Colonel Mustard. Got it.
Oh, no one likes the monocle. I wear a cravat for a few hundred years and no one bats an eye. Maybe I'm trying too hard.
What's with all this water running through the pipes? Is it for the plant life or something? Makes sense. There's a lot of it.
Maybe that's a use, but no. This is mainly for something clever. Something very clever. You're also tracking the energy level in the water. Am I right?
See? Told you he was smart. We use the energy generated from the moving water to power the place.
And it's renewable? Renewable hydropower. Thank God we've evolved past cables. Less things to trip over, at least.
Silurian and human engineering blended together in such a way that both are propelled to new heights. Now this is what I like to see. Question is, where are you getting all the water from? Must be rare to find around now. All of that ocean out there must be beyond the point of no return with the current radiation levels.
Those tunnels you arrived in were constructed above a gigantic underground water source. Our experts say it's a few miles deep at least. Remarkably, the tunnels themselves were already pre-built before we constructed the pyramid on top of it. It only made the most sense, for ease of transportation as well.
And those tunnels are Silurian in origin, then? You all just found another Silurian structure that wasn't your own one day? Abandoned?
That seems to be the case, yes. The architecture is undoubtedly Silurian, so it was hardly petty theft. We assume they belong to a line of our ancestors.
Right, yes. Makes sense, I suppose.
Problem, Batman?
No, it's just... Silurians don't heavily rely on hydropower. Not traditionally.
Don't mind me. Excuse me. I'll just be on my way.
A human scientist attempts to maneuver her way past the group, avoiding eye contact as she quickly walks past before abruptly bumping into the doctor, dropping her metallic contraption to the ground. It shatters apart upon impact.
Flaming hell.
You're okay. Let me help you with all that.
Oh, sorry. Don't mind me. Just one of those days.
You're rebuilding the Earth. I'd say you're allowed plenty of those days. Ooh, this looks big and complicated. Colour me intrigued.
Well, it's nothing really. At the moment, it's not. It produces an energy pulse that spreads out laterally over a landscape. If it works out, this might actually be able to neutralise and eliminate the background radiation on the outside.
Wow, really?
Why do you say if?
For starters, I know how to produce the energy, but dispersing it at a decent radius, that's a whole other challenge. I don't plan on doing it by hand. And more importantly, we don't exactly have the resources to test such a separate device anyway.
I don't think that's entirely accurate.
Nick.
It's not. I'm tired of being the only man with a shred of optimism around here.
Optimism is one thing, but we need to be realistic. We just don't have the materials, much less any funding.
This isn't a funded project. You aren't receiving any help from any form of government.
I'm afraid not. If you haven't noticed, the prospect of returning to Earth and rebuilding isn't exactly appealing to the former residents. Sanctuary has always been an independent project. All of this technology is scavenged. A small amount was donated, but that was mostly just scrap. We don't have nearly enough to prepare for a full restoration, and if I'm being completely honest, I doubt we ever will.
That's what you'd think on the surface, but our luck hasn't run out. We'll get another donation, contact the other countries, something. This isn't over.
Are you saying Sanctuary is a project strictly held together by hope?
Unfortunately, but when has that ever been practical?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say sometimes all you need is a dash of hope.
All around, the lights strung up against the walls of the pyramid blink out, casting the group in shadow.
Oh, well done, Doctor. Perfectly timed as usual.
Power outage?
Undoubtedly. A common occurrence, I'm afraid.
We usually have to go down to our second power core, a ways down the tunnels to reboot. And, of course, it's my turn. My lucky day.
It definitely is, because I just happen to be especially good with a fuse box. I'd be happy to take a look at the main one while you're dealing with the other, assuming it's somewhere up here, up top.
Hooray for me.
If it helps, you could come along and keep me company. I'd love to hear about your travels with the Doctor.
I thought you'd never ask. That sound like a plan, gang? Split up and look for clues?
Clues? Whatever for?
Purely my enjoyment.
Go on then. I'd probably never hear the end of it if I wasn't... Just don't get into any trouble. Or get eaten by another Drashig.
No promises.
Stay safe. True believer!
Wrong franchise!
Oh, and Doctor, present for you. If you manage to fix the generator and find yourself some free time, something I've been keeping safe in case you ever showed back up, you'll find it easy enough. Just look for the right locker number on the key, towards the east edge of the pyramid.
It isn't a metal dog by any chance, is it?
Who's to say? Have fun.
Was that a pun?
Wakey, wakey.
Hector stirs awake, cold water dripping down his scaly face. He sits on a wooden chair, arms tied uncomfortably to his back. As his eyes adjust from the brief comfort of sleep, he finds himself in a wide chasm, devoid of any natural light, illuminated only by the glimmers of the cave crystals scattered about. In front of him, his capturer takes a seat on a nearby boulder.
Sorry for all of the commotion. I couldn't exactly bring you down here with the offer of a beverage, now could I?
Are you one of my kind? Is this some sort of rebellion thing, is that it?
Not exactly, friend.
Then who exactly are you?
I've been watching you all for some time now, keeping my distance. To achieve one's goals, they must have patience, no?
You must be from the pyramid. No other place on the planet is inhabitable. There has to be some misunderstanding here.
Tell me, you think you found these tunnels, didn't you? You built your precious sanctuary on this little lucky find. Am I correct?
No, this cave is of Homo reptilia origin, clearly. By another clan, maybe, but we scoured it thoroughly. There was no other sign of life.
Then you didn't search hard enough. You ransacked these tunnels, our property, just because it was more convenient for you. I expect it from those loathsome apes. But you, Silurian kind, forming an alliance with the humans? How pitiful. What a disgrace.
What were we supposed to do? Cut off our third eye to spite our face? This is our home. We want to save it.
You took the easy option, the weak choice. The Silurians that I once knew didn't give in so easily. They didn't bargain or let the other side set the terms. They fought, stood their ground, Well, I suppose we're not going to get anywhere with this. So why don't we move on to today's assignment?
What are you talking about? Who are you? Why am I here?
I've been observing your little pet project since its conception, and I like to think in that time we've all grown so close together. You know, in a sort of moral sense. Even if you don't know about me. I've had access to your security feed, all of your files, your data banks. Just something to keep me busy. Since I found myself with so much free time lately, I must admit I was behind those pesky electrical interferences. It's my technology bickering with yours. Terribly sorry about that.
I don't understand. What have you...
I know the exact number of inhabitants in that structure. I know every single one of their names, and so much more. And would you believe it? I've never once seen the new guests that have arrived on your doorstep today.
Jesse? That doctor?
That's them. Now, do you seriously expect me to believe that they arrived on their own, simply out of the blue? You said yourself, it's not like anything can survive on the surface nowadays.
I know as much as you do. Someone from upper command seems to have recognized them, but other than that, I'm not sure.
So predictable, brother. Do you seriously expect me to believe that? How big is the colony they arrive with?
I don't know. They said they didn't.
Lie on top of lie on top of lie. That's not the answer I'm looking for. You should know I don't have a high tolerance for dishonesty.
What do you want me to say? I don't have the answers you want.
Have it your way. I need to speed up the process of my work now anyway. Granted, maybe you are an honest soul. But you'll have to forgive me. I'm afraid I can't take any chances.
No, don't. Please.
Making their way through the dark cave system, Jesse follows Nicholas as they head toward the power source.
So, you plan on finding whatever it is you're looking for in the dark? A kid tried to pull that kind of stunt on me in 8th grade. Tried to convince me to play 7 Minutes in Heaven. I punched him in the teeth.
You're not going to punch me in the teeth, are you?
I don't plan on it.
Even if I tried that 7-minute ritual from your time?
Nicholas? I guess you are a little bit more than a fanboy when you want to be. Oh!
Catching her foot on a rock, Jesse stumbles forward. Catching her, Nicholas helps her back to her feet.
Do you really not have a flashlight or something?
Oh, that's right. You're from the 20th century. Humans now are more accustomed to the dark, since we've been out in space so much at this point. Yeah, I always keep a torch on me anyway.
Thanks. Hold on, you're trying to tell me that humans evolved to see naturally in the dark?
That's what the science says.
Seriously? Growing closer and closer to our new cat overlords every day, I see.
You have a very strange fixation on cat kind. Why is that?
Well, it's probably... Wait, no. Back on topic, you were totally trying to hit on me a second ago.
Are you sure about that? Maybe you hit your head when you stumbled there.
No, you totally were. Right before I tripped on that rock.
Fine. You caught me. I hate to say it though, but I like my women fully evolved.
Oh, I see how it is.
It's nothing personal, but I can't date someone who turns into a liability when the sun sets. I'd be the laughingstock of the whole sanctuary. I'm sure you understand.
Okay, future boy, you've made your point.
That's much better. I'll take future boy over fanboy any day.
Actually, if you don't mind me asking, why the fascination with him? I mean, I get it. It's him, but why take such an interest?
Because, in a weird way, it makes me feel closer to them.
To who?
My family. The legendary Lethbridge Stewarts.
You mean people from my time? You can really relate to ancestors from that long ago?
It's not like a close relative or anything, it's just... bearing this name, this long line of ancestors that helped save the Earth time and time again. You can't imagine the amount of pressure that puts on you. When Earth is in a real crisis like this, the things you have to try and live up to.
That's why you're in this position now, even though you don't want to be?
Trust me, I want to be. Not because of the valor of saving the world from itself. It's really a privilege to revitalize the home of the human race. But a position like this, it should be earned. Sometimes I feel like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my name.
Nick, I'm sure you're so much more than just your name.
Am I though? I don't have any proper experience. Nothing to point to and say, look what I defended my world against. Unless you count mutant seagulls or broken pipes. I can read as many guides as I want, scour every archive outlining every heroic victory of humanity. But what's going to happen on the day something really does go down? Something I won't be able to handle.
So that's why you're so eager to meet the Doctor.
Maybe. If he looks at me and sees them, that'll be what I need.
And the results so far?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Looks like we're here.
Jessie shines the torch in front of her, into the tunnel before them. At the rounded end to the large pathway rests a calm, vast lake, plugged into the numerous pipes and conduits. The water rests completely motionless, its immaculate surface reflecting the crystals growing on the cave walls, painting the lake in a soft glow of piercing color.
Wow, I don't think I'm ever gonna get tired of this stuff. You'd never guess a place like this could still exist, all the way down here, on Earth of all places.
I know the feeling. I really don't mind coming down here half the time. It's peaceful. A little eerie, but peaceful. Hell of a first date destination, huh?
Oh, is that what this is? Even with my inferior genetics?
Well, I figure if things go south, I can just grab that torch and head home. Won't have to worry about the awkward walk back.
Oh, how chivalrous. Just leave me out here blind like that.
Yep, I guess you have no choice but to be nice to me.
All right. Deal.
The two share a moment of silence, looking out over the glassy reflection of the glowing gems on the lake's surface. Surrounded by foliage, a curious and eager doctor is led further into the pyramid by General Olnor. In its center, amongst the tall trees that surround it, is a small village, a simple shanty town. Huts and cabins are stacked amongst each other in a circular fashion around the center, built from rusted sheets of metal and damp wood, and all lit up by scattered candlelight. As the Time Lord strolls past, children chase each other and play, while the older residents go about their business. Some are leaned against walls, talking amongst each other, while others sit and watch from their small balconies, sipping drinks and washing clothes by hand before hanging them on the cables that stretch out from house to house.
Don't tell Nicholas I said this, but you really are limited, aren't you? Is it all like this?
Unfortunately. When we Silurians awoke, our original home was far too damaged. Full of radiation leakages from outside the walls, our infrastructure was crumbling. Attempting to stay wasn't an option. That's when we stumbled onto the caves, a miracle in their own right. Once we allied with the humans, we built the pyramid, not realizing we overestimated our available resources.
Well, it gets the job done, doesn't it?
And yet this entire project is simply embarrassing. What kind of a leader lets his people live under these conditions?
One who cares. You could have sent the humans away if you wanted, but here they are, living and laughing, with a race they've only ever bickered with in the past. As far as leadership goes, I'd say that's a remarkable achievement, wouldn't you?
But under these conditions, is it even worth it? We're practically a single arrow away from total collapse.
But you're still standing, providing an honest life for people in an abandoned wasteland. There are some species that would kill for that.
Would yours, Doctor?
I'm sorry, where did you say the fuse box was again?
The pair enter a small building, more structurally advanced, constructed from the same materials as the base of the dome itself. Inside are monitors and security feeds all hung against the wall, and in the corner of the room, an enormous circular generator. Its rusted appearance gives clear indication it's not functional. Eyes lighting up, the Doctor once again dons his monocle and gets situated before the metallic box of wires and fuses.
No, I'm no engineer, but our best haven't had any luck getting the system running reliably. But if Nick is to be believed, then I trust your abilities.
Oh, it's not that hard, General. Imagine it's no different from playing an instrument. You may see a broken car engine or a loose bathroom pipe. All I see is trombones and pianos. It's just about learning the right notes to play that specific song.
Ah, marvelous. What song did you play just now, Doctor?
Hallelujah? That wasn't me. Nicholas must have turned the backup on a few moments ago. Looks like I've still got work to do.
So, this is technically the main power source for the whole project? This is where you get all the water? It's not very techy.
Trust me, it's more than techie. The fact that you can't see most of the machinery is proof of that. It definitely puts the hydro in hydropower. And it all gets funneled through this generator. All I have to do is pull this lever like so. I said like so.
Performance issues?
Hilarious. This usually works. 1 second. Let me try activating it through the terminal.
Do you smell that?
Smell what?
I don't know, something burnt.
Access denied.
Access what?
Jessie shines her torch around her room curiously before the light crosses a boulder nearby, with a noticeable plume of smoke arising from behind it.
Holy, is that Hector?
She shines her light on a body of the Silurian, lying face down only a few meters away. It is indeed the same polite guard she met on her arrival. He now lies motionless, a stream of smoke rising from beneath his face. Without hesitation, Nicholas sprints to his side, quickly sliding to his knees as he rests 2 fingers on Hector's outstretched arms.
Hectir! Can you hear me, mate? He's gone.
What the hell could have done that to him? We need to get back to the doctor.
Nicholas hesitates for a single moment before dashing toward the exit pathway. Amongst the darkness, a red light charges up.
Why so eager to depart? We wouldn't want to spoil the surprise for your comrades, now would we?
Who's there? Is this meant to be some sort of joke?
If only it were that simple.
Access granted.
What are you? Silurian?
You humans and your limited brain capacity. At least try to be a little more perceptive.
Listen, whatever happened here, I'm sure it wasn't malicious. Just put the gun down and we can talk.
You turned the power back on. Which means you were the one who turned it off in the first place. Why?
Because I wanted you to wander into my net, little fish. And that you did. You both have a part to play in the revolution that is to come.
Enough of this! I'm placing you under arrest, under order.
Please. Is the boy usually this tiresome? You act like I'm to blame? No. Whatever happens now, know that your kind is responsible.
Nick, what is he talking about?
Not a clue. Although it sounds like the rambling of a radical despot.
Spare me. A despot, says the lowlife, the thief. Let me guess. He spun you the tale of the beautiful tunnels he built his home upon. That he discovered them by good fortune and happenstance. Or perhaps it was the providence of his deity. Oh,
you're saying these tunnels were yours first?
I'm sorry, who even are you?
The owner of these tunnels. The rightful watcher and protector of my arrested people. Me and me alone.
No, not possible. We scoured the caves for life before we started construction. Are you really trying to tell me you've been here just lurking in the shadows this whole time? And no one noticed?
I quite like the sound of that. Has a real punctuation to it. Credit goes to the perception filter of mine, though. A low-level technology. But just enough to remain hidden from the squatters upstairs.
Alright then, why the violence? We didn't know you were here, but you clearly didn't want us to know. We can afford to feed one more mouth. Why don't you come live with us in the sanctuary until we find a way to peacefully resolve this issue diplomatically?
Oh, such a generous offer from the thief. But don't you see? I didn't say I was the only one with a perception filter.
What? There's more of you.
Nick, the walls.
The pair cautiously inspect the surroundings, this time with a closer eye for detail. Embedded into the rocky walls are cylindrical glass pods stacked up next to each other by the dozen. Each pod masked by condensation, their contents are obscured by the freezing temperature inside, which slowly seeps out the edges into the cold white mist. The strange figure slowly approaches one, catching the drops of water on his finger as he lightly strums his hand against the case.
Are those stasis chambers? These have always been in the caves. This whole time, and we didn't even notice.
They've been asleep for far too long now. Waiting for a better age. For their time. But now, the debt is owed. And shall be collected.
And how do you plan on doing that?
With a bang.
Back inside the pyramid, the Doctor continues to tamper with the generator, pulling wires and twisting gears. General Olnor stands watching, pensively.
Then how about I at least get you a refreshment for your help? I'd like to feel more useful.
Do they still have custard creams in the year 3100?
I shall see what we have.
Now back to you, my dear. Oh, look at the state. Just how long have the mean earthlings let you go?
Ahem.
Kind earthlings. Very, very kind. Hello again.
Do you happen to know when General Olnor might be back?
I believe he's on biscuit duty. Anything I can do to help?
Well, there's just this thing. I wanted to get a second opinion on it. It just showed up on my monitor. It's probably nothing, but...
Oh, I love things. That's what they call me. The connoisseur of stuff.
Then you might want to take a look at this.
Held in Gabbi's hand is a touchpad-like screen. Displayed on its glass cover is a topographical layout of the cave tunnels. Toward the bottom layers, a handful of small spots blip in and out slowly.
Usually, whenever we have a blackout, every piece of technology takes a bit to boot back up. Naturally, we filter all of that out in our feeds, so this isn't that. But there's something going on somewhere in the bottom of the tunnels, linked directly next to our water supply. This isn't like any energy signature we've ever seen, and whatever it is, it's clearly starting to take up a lot of power. And on top of that, the number of separate signatures is slowly increasing.
How peculiar. What is that? Radio signals? A powerful radiation source? But there wouldn't be that many. No, it's almost like it's something waking up.
Attention pulled away, the Doctor leaps from his spot before the fuse box, dashing out of the building and through the pyramid.
Doctor? You made me drop your damn biscuits. Where's he going?
You tell me!
He sprints toward the cave exit where he arrived, nearly passing through before... An explosion sends a wave of dust flying over the Doctor as the ceiling just outside of the dome's exit collapses in on itself. Knocking the Doctor on his back, General Olnor and Gabbi stumble over to help him in the midst of the chaos. As the dust slowly settles, It reveals the exit, now barricaded with large boulders and chunks of rubble.
Is everyone safe? No one's hurt?
I believe so. Where did this come from? An earthquake of some kind?
What do you think's down there?
How did I not realize? It was right under my nose the entire time. The caves, the water system, the scorched earth.
Whatever it is that's down there, the number is rising. It's going up by dozens, hundreds. No, there are thousands of them. Whatever is waking up down there, there are thousands of them.
Will somebody tell me what the hell is actually going on?
General, you built Sanctuary on top of a pre-existing settlement that just so happened to be completely abandoned. No trace of whatever used to live here, not to mention years' worth of fresh water eagerly waiting to be used. Did you ever stop to consider? This is all too good to be true.
You aren't exactly the first person to tell me that, but these tunnels are clearly Silurian kind, aren't they? We never found any survivors.
Whatever used to live here, whatever made those tunnels, they're waking up. A whole civilization worth of living beings asleep under the surface for all this time. And I let Jessie get stuck right down in the middle of all of it.
But what has the water got to do with any of this? Where's the link between the two? Is it using it as an energy source, like us?
Of course. Of course it's them.
Them? Doctor, what is down there?
You okay?
I'll live. What the hell have you done?
What was necessary? Only seems appropriate, don't you think? The time has come.
I think whatever's in those chambers are waking up.
Even so, there are just, what, a dozen of them? At most? You think that's something we wouldn't be prepared for?
Go ahead, underestimate me, child. If it makes your final moments more bearable. Do you see that lake over there? Under that surface sleeps more of my kind than your tiny little settlement will ever be prepared for. Sleeping in the waters of our city that was unlawfully occupied in our absence.
There's a whole city down there and you guys never even noticed?
Of course there isn't. How would anything be able to survive underneath there for that long?
Removing and tossing aside his ragged black cloak, the stranger holding them hostage finally reveals himself.
I speak to you now, my people, in hopes that you hear me and heed my words. In this unprecedented time, I don't call to you faintly. These tunnels, our home, has been taken from us, stolen, inhabited by our former allies and the vermin they've chosen to conspire with. Under their watch, the outside world has become a wasteland, a barren, uninhabitable hell at the mercy of the fires above. But it is not all hopeless, I promise you, because we will take back what we have lost. Today, we march on and eradicate the parasites that have stolen our world. Today, the sea devils take back their rightful place in the chain of evolution.
What did you just say?
What does he mean? What's a sea devil?
The bell has been rung. The first steps have been set in motion. Today is the day we march to war.